U.S. Presidential Election 2024, Trump's top Republican challengers. Almost immediately after the midterm elections, the road to the 2024 U.S. presidential election begins, and a number of candidates are already in the running. Donald Trump, a former president, has declared his intention to run in the party's nominating contest, promising to make America great and magnificent again. Although he continues to enjoy support from Republican voters, his midterm result, which was dismal in part because Trump-backed candidates lost, has made him more vulnerable. The former president, who will turn 78 in 2 years, is set to face a tough struggle from a group of Republican contenders, some of whom have previously supported him. Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, has made a concerted effort to emulate Mr. Trump and is quickly solidifying himself as the contender most likely to unseat him at this early juncture. He easily won re-election in the midterm elections on Tuesday with a margin of more than 1.5 million votes, the highest in the state in more than 40 years. The 44-year-old lawyer with Yale and Harvard degrees is still a relative newbie to U.S. politics. He had a stint in the U.S. Navy that included time spent in Iraq. From 2013 to 2018, he served in the House of Representatives as a little-known representative. However, Mr. DeSantis has seen his star significantly grow since he was elected governor of Florida in 2019, a position in which he frames himself as an ardent supporter of conservatism. He disregarded the COVID pandemic's mask and vaccine requirements, approved anti-riot laws in response to racial justice demonstrations, and supported legislation that would have restricted LGBT teaching in primary schools. Republican voters began to outnumber Democrats in the state during his administration. The fact that Mr. Trump recently referred to his adversary as Ron DeSanctimonious and threatened to reveal damaging information about him if he ran for office in 2024 suggests that he is paying careful attention. Mike Pence. Mike Pence served as Mr. Trump's vice president for 4 years, but their relationship soured after last year's Capitol incident. Mr. Pence, a conservative politician who is the son of a Korean War veteran, started as a talk radio personality. As a principled conservative who supported the Tea Party, he was elected to the House in 2000 and held office there until 2013. In addition, he presided over Indiana as governor from 2013 to 2017. In that capacity, he signed legislation to safeguard religious freedom and limit abortion, as well as the largest tax decrease in state history. A 63-year-old, born-again evangelical Christian, Mr. Pence is credited with helping Mr. Trump win over evangelicals, a significant vote group, in 2016. He was viewed as an effective stand-in for the bomb-throwing Donald since he was composed and soft-spoken. But after he declined to assist in overturning the 2020 election results, Mr. Trump attacked him for lacking courage. In January 2021, pro-Trump rioters overran the U.S. Capitol and can be heard yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." They apparently came within 40 feet, 12 meters, of the vice president at one point. Since then, the two have maintained their divide, with Mr. Pence supporting a number of Republican candidates, including Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, whose opponent Mr. Trump backed. But Mr. Pence never voiced a direct criticism of his former employer. Liz Cheney. Previously a rising star in the Republican Party, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney served as the party's highest third-ranked member in the House from 2019 to 2021. She won her father's former congressional seat in 2017, went on to represent Wyoming in Congress, and voted in lockstep with the Trump administration. She is a fiscal and social conservative with interventionist foreign policy views. However, she lost Republican support after she frequently criticized Mr. Trump and then voted to impeach him for his part in the Capitol riots on January 6th. She lost her leadership position, received a formal reprimand, and the Wyoming Republican Party no longer recognizes her. The 56-year-old Ms. Cheney then joined the congressional committee looking into the Capitol disturbances as just one of 2 Republicans. She has taken the initiative to hold Mr. Trump and others accountable in her role as vice chair. She lost her job because of the position in August when the former president endorsed a rival who defeated her by almost 40% in the Wyoming primary. But Ms. Cheney insists that she is still a Republican and that she will do whatever it takes to assist restore our party. Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo, a Kansas congressman at the time, warned loudly that Mr. Trump would be an autocratic ruler who ignored our Constitution. He served in the House from 2011 to 2017. He was an Army veteran who graduated first in his class from the exclusive West Point Military Institution. The Harvard-educated attorney later held the positions of Secretary of State and Director of the CIA in the Trump administration. He participated in important U.S. foreign policy initiatives, including helping to reverse decades-old U.S. policy towards Israel and planning Mr. Trump's summits with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. But he also actively sought out controversy, which led to disagreements with reporters and at least 2 ethics inquiries. Glenn Youngkin. When Glenn Youngkin won the Virginia governor's race last year, the Republican Party was ecstatic. He defeated a candidate who had been active in Democratic politics since the 1980s and was a political rookie who worked for 25 years at the private equity firm Carlyle Group. Mr. Youngkin criticized party politics as extremely toxic and ran for office in a state that had recently shifted toward Democrats. But since taking office, the 55-year-old has engaged in contentious debates on issues like repealing the state's COVID-19 limitations and outlawing the teaching of critical race theory in schools. In this election, he has backed Republicans around the nation. He received fire for downplaying the brutal attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband during a campaign event last month and later issued an apology. Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's shine has significantly dimmed in recent years after being formerly regarded as one of the most promising young prospects in the Republican Party. Ms. Haley, who is of Punjabi Sikh descent and was born in South Carolina, was sworn in as the nation's youngest governor in 2009. She attracted widespread notice in 2015 when she demanded that the Confederate flag be taken down from the South Carolina Capitol. Despite declaring in 2016 that she was not a fan, she later agreed to accept his appointment as the U.S. ambassador to the UN. Her tenure there was highlighted by her sudden withdrawal from a UN Security Council meeting as a Palestinian envoy was speaking. Ms. Haley, 50, has vacillated on whether or not she still backs Mr. Trump, which has attracted a lot of criticism. Last year, Mr. Trump reportedly declined to even meet with her. Rick Scott. Rick Scott, a Florida congressman who is 69 years old, was given the duty of assisting Republicans in taking back the Senate this year. It is still unknown if Mr. Scott was successful in his endeavor, but in his crucial campaign position, he supported and raised money for politicians across the nation, winning the favor of potential backers. He served as governor of Florida for 2 terms and has recently been under fire from Democrats for calling for significant cuts to the size of the federal government. Others who could run. Tim Scott, the 57-year-old South Carolina resident, is the first Black Republican senator since 1979 and the first politician of African descent to hold office in both houses of Congress. Ted Cruz. The 51-year-old Texas senator ran a strong race in the Republican primary for president in 2016, finishing second to Mr. Trump. Larry Hogan. The moderate 66-year-old Republican who overcame skin cancer has led Maryland, a state that supports Democrats, as governor since 2015. Greg Abbott. The first wheelchair-using governor of Texas, Mr. Abbott, 64, has supported conservative policies ever since he was elected in 2014. Kristi Noem. The nation was made aware of South Dakota's first female governor's opposition to COVID restrictions and her eagerness to participate in public discourse.